Flames swallowed the night, but one woman didn't run away. She ran into the fire. Naomi Carter, a black woman working 2 jobs just to survive, risked her life to save a little girl she'd never met. But the next morning, when a billionaire showed up at her door, what he said changed everything. You're not ready for the twist in this story, so stay till the end. And if you believe courage still exists in this world, hit that subscribe button right now. The night sky burned red as smoke rolled across the quiet neighborhood like a storm. Naomi Carter, a 32-year-old black woman living alone in a modest apartment nearby, was closing up her tiny corner store job when she smelled it, the sharp, bitter scent of fire. Within minutes, the distant glow turned into chaos. Sirens wailed, people screamed, and Naomi's instincts took over before her mind even caught up. She dropped everything and ran toward the sound. At the end of the street, a small yellow house was engulfed in flames. The roof was collapsing, and black smoke poured out of the windows. A woman stood outside, screaming and clawing at the air. "My baby! Someone please! My baby's inside!" Naomi didn't think. She didn't look for firefighters. She didn't wait for help. She kicked off her shoes and sprinted toward the house. The heat hit her like a wall. Her eyes watered, her lungs burned, but she kept going. She covered her face with her arm and forced her way in through the front door. Inside, the smoke was so thick she could barely see. Furniture was melting, photos on the walls curling into ash. She could hear a faint cry coming from upstairs, a child's cry. Naomi coughed hard, her chest screaming for air, and stumbled up the burning staircase. Halfway up, the railing gave way, and she fell to her knees, slamming her shoulder against the wall. But she didn't stop. Through the blinding heat, she saw a little girl, maybe 6 years old, sitting on the floor, clutching a stuffed bear, eyes wide in terror. Naomi's heart nearly broke. She threw her jacket over the girl, scooped her up, and whispered, "It's okay, baby, I've got you." The ceiling above them groaned, a beam cracked, and fire rained down. Naomi shielded the girl with her own body, the fire licking at her arm. The pain was unbearable, but she pushed through it, stumbling back down the stairs as the house roared around them. When she burst through the door, the crowd screamed. Firefighters ran forward, grabbing the child and spraying Naomi with water to cool her burns. The mother collapsed to her knees, crying, holding her daughter tightly. Naomi barely had time to smile before everything went black. When she woke up, it was morning. The sterile white of a hospital room greeted her, along with the steady beep of a monitor. Her arm was wrapped in thick bandages, and her throat felt raw. A nurse smiled at her. "You're a lucky one," she said softly. "You saved that little girl's life." Naomi smiled faintly. "She's okay. She's safe. Her mother hasn't stopped talking about you." When Naomi was discharged 2 days later, she went home quietly. No reporters, no fame. Just her burns, and the silence of her small apartment. She made herself a cup of instant coffee, staring at the bills scattered on her kitchen table. Rent overdue. Electricity past due. Life, as usual, didn't pause for heroes. Then came the knock. A deep, heavy knock that made her jump. She opened the door and froze. Standing there was a tall man in his late 50s. Silver hair, sharp suit, the kind of presence that filled a room. Behind him, a black SUV idled. "Are you Naomi Carter?" he asked in a calm but commanding tone. "Yes," she replied, hesitating. He extended his hand. Alexander Rowe. Her brow furrowed. The name sounded familiar. Then it hit her, one of the wealthiest men in the country. A billionaire. Founder of Rowe Technologies. She'd seen him on magazine covers and television interviews. He looked at her small apartment, the peeling paint, the flickering light bulb, and then back at her. His expression softened. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a photo of a little girl. The same girl Naomi had rescued. "That's my daughter, Lily." Naomi's breath caught. "Your daughter?" "Yes. My ex-wife and Lily were staying in that house. I was across the country on business when I got the call. They told me what you did." His voice faltered slightly, the calm billionaire exterior cracking. "They told me you ran into that fire for a child you didn't even know." Naomi looked away, embarrassed. "I just did what anyone would have done." Alexander shook his head slowly. "No, most people would have watched. You acted. You gave me back my little girl. I can't ever repay that, but I want to try." Naomi didn't know what to say. She simply nodded. The next morning, A car waited outside her apartment. The driver said Mr. Rowe wanted her to come with him. Confused but curious, she agreed. They drove through the city until they reached the edge of town, a place Naomi had never been. There, a sprawling new building shimmered under the sun. It looked like a school, but more welcoming. Inside, children were painting, laughing, building things. Naomi's eyes widened. This, Alexander said softly, is the Lily Foundation. We help children who've lost their homes to fire or disaster. We rebuild what's been taken from them. Naomi smiled, her eyes misting. It's beautiful. He turned to her. I want you to run it. Naomi blinked, stunned. Me? I'm not qualified. He stopped her gently. You're exactly who I need. You know pain. You know what it means to be brave when no one's watching. These kids don't need a manager. They need a heart like yours. For the first time in years, Naomi felt something she hadn't felt before, purpose. Months passed. Naomi poured her soul into the foundation. She organized shelters, found foster families, raised money for burned-down homes. The community adored her. The kids called her Miss Nomi. Every week, Lily came to visit with her father. She'd run into Naomi's arms shouting, "Aunt Naomi." And every time, Naomi's eyes filled with tears. One day, during a major fundraising gala, Alexander took the stage in front of hundreds of guests. Cameras flashed, lights glimmered. He looked at Naomi in the front row and said, "When I lost everything that mattered, a woman with nothing gave me back my world." She ran into the fire, not for money, not for fame, but because her heart told her to. He paused, his voice thick with emotion. People like Naomi remind us that wealth isn't measured in what we keep, but in what we give. The audience rose to their feet, clapping and cheering. Naomi stood quietly, tears streaming down her face. After the event, Alexander walked over and handed her a small velvet box. Inside was a golden pendant shaped like a flame. Engraved on the back were the words, "For the woman who carried light through fire." Years later, Naomi would look back on that night and smile. Her scars had faded, but the memories hadn't. She had gone from barely surviving to helping others rebuild their lives. Sometimes, it takes one act of courage to change everything, not just for one person, but for generations. Naomi never called herself a hero, but the world knew her as one. And in that quiet truth, she finally found peace. Thank you for watching. The narrator's voice would say, gentle but powerful. If you believe there's still good in the world, hit that like button and subscribe for more stories that remind us of the power of compassion.